Make sure all this is going to work right. All right. Monday, I was kind of going in and out of sleep early Monday morning. Um, and during that time, I started thinking about this coming Sunday and the fact that it's Mother's Day this Sunday. And that led my brain to then begin thinking about my own mom and how much I miss my mother. How when something happens in my life or the life of our family or something here at the church, something happens, my first thought is I need to tell mom about this because my mother was a prayer warrior. And I knew that if something happened, I could tell my mother. And not only my mother would pray for it, but she had this little network of ladies that were also prayer warriors. And I knew that it would get spread amongst all of them, and the prayers would be lifted up. But then I'm hit with the immediate realization that I can't do that anymore. When you think about your mother, what kind of picture comes to mind? What words frame the context of your memories? Just think about that for a minute. I know that my mother wasn't perfect. She was a devoted Sunday school teacher. She led music in her church. She was reliable. She was strong. And she was steadfast. Over the years, I've gotten to know many women who fall into that same kind of category in the churches that I've served in. They were good people. Some might even say wonderful people. But you wanted to stay on their good side. Not that they would turn into mommy dearest. It's just that, like most of our relationships, real relationships, they're nuanced, they're layered, and let's face it, they can even be complicated at times. But let's face it, the only place you're going to find a perfect parent is on a 50s TV sitcom or in the comics or the cartoons. It's important for us to remember this, especially as we enter the weekend and celebrate Mother's Day. Sunday is the day that we honor the one person, the one relationship that we all have in common, that of a mother. Candidly speaking, this isn't always an easy day for everyone. For some, it's a day of sadness and renewed mourning because their mother is no longer with them. For some, it's a day of regret for past mistakes and missed opportunities. For some, it's a day of what might have been. And thankfully, for some, it's the day that it should be. A celebration of the relationship whose significance really can't be overstated. So tonight, I want to talk to all of us those who are or had moms, and those who are or had dads, and those who were or had children, and everyone else in every other category. I want to talk about how we can give honor to the one to whom we owe our very existence. Not just on Mother's Day with a card and a carnation, but every day with our actions and our attitudes. I want to take a look at first in Proverbs 6. Proverbs chapter 6. I want to read four verses. Verses 20 through 23. It says, "My son, keep your father's command and don't reject your mother's teaching. Always bind them in your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you walk here and there, they will guide you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. When you wake up, they will talk to you. For a command is a lamp, teaching is a light, and corrective discipline is the way to life." So, whether you had or have the greatest mom in the world, and quite honestly, I know that you don't or didn't because I did. So I guess I should say whether you have or had the second greatest mom in all the world, or whether your relationship can be classified as complicated, either way, today I want us to look at 3 things that you can do to give your mother the honor that every mother deserves. There are 3 things. First of all, embrace the best of her lessons. Every mom comes with their own skill set, so to speak, their own strengths as well as their own weaknesses. And it may be tempting at times to view your parents through the filter of their failures. Mom didn't do this. Mom didn't do that. No matter who your parents are, no matter how devoted they may have been, you could create such a failure kind of list simply because no parent is perfect. But that kind of a list isn't really going to help you at all. Instead, take a look at everything your mother does or did well and everything she taught you to do well. Like how to do your homework, or clean your room, or speak with respect, or tell a joke, or how to sing harmony, or flip an omelet, or format a spreadsheet, or whatever it is she might have taught you to do, or whatever value she might have instilled in you. Embrace the best of them. Remember, this was the person whom God chose more than any other to not only bring you into this world, but to also shape you and mold you into the person that you were to become. She knew things that you needed to know. She had skills that you needed to learn. So embrace the best of her lessons. This week, I Googled things my mother taught me to see if perhaps anyone had written anything on this theme. There were 247 million results. So it appears I'm not the first to try to think of this point. But just so we're clear, I didn't read all 247 million posts. But I did come across a couple that I liked. There was one titled, "Things My Mother Taught Me." My mother taught me to appreciate a job well done, If you're going to kill each other, do it outside. I just finished mopping the floor. My mother taught me religion. You better pray that's going to come out of the carpet. My mother taught me irony. Keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about. My mother taught me about the science of osmosis. Shut your mouth and eat your supper. My mother taught me about hindsight. Will you look at that dirt on the back of your neck? My mother taught me about anticipation. Just wait until we get home. My mother taught me about justice. One day you'll have kids, and I hope they turn out just like you. On a more serious note, here are some things that others wrote. Mom taught me that no matter how hopeless things may seem, there is always something you can do. Mom taught me don't judge others, even if you think you have the whole story. Mom taught me to stand up for what's right, even if it's not the most popular opinion. Mom taught me to clean up after myself, always. Mom taught me to use the dictionary, to take the initiative to learn for myself. Mom taught me to think of others first. Here's an interesting one. Mom taught me that there's nothing that a George Strait song can't fix. Mom taught me that running away from your feelings is a race you'll never win. So I challenge you, every day, as you put your strengths into practice, as you do well the things that you do well, take a moment and remind yourself, was it Mom that taught me to do this? And if so, thank you, Mom. Embrace the best of her lessons. Proverbs 6, the end of verse 20 into 21, it says, don't reject your mother's teaching. Always bind them to your heart. Tie them around your neck. And here's the second suggestion. Follow the best of her examples. There are things that Mom do that they may never put into words. Things that they may never tell us about and that we'll never know about unless we take the time to look and to understand. I'm talking about the sacrifices that moms make. The second mile that they take as often as the second mile is necessary. Most moms do this without fanfare and without a press release being issued. They just do it. Someone reminiscing about their mom once said to me something along the lines of, I learned forgiveness from watching my mother. She not only forgave me for being a rebellious teenager, but I also saw her forgive my father and my siblings and her own sisters and even people in the church. She demonstrated the kind of forgiveness that leaves the offense in the past and never brings it up again. That was the example that she set for me. Moms teach us important lessons through their words, but they also teach us important lessons through their example. Lessons that they may not even be aware that they're teaching, but they're lessons that you can learn if you paid attention. Academy Award winner Lauren Bacall once said, "My mother was the greatest example to me of anyone I've ever known. I adored her. She didn't have an easy life. She worked hard all her life, and she was the one who set my value. She was quite an amazing woman, although she wasn't very tough at all." We tend to learn through what we observe. We learn by example. So make it a point to see or to remember, to notice, and to follow the very best examples that were set by your mother. She isn't perfect, but there's no reason to really dwell on the imperfections. Think of the areas in which she set a shining example and do your best imitation of mom. You'll learn that Solomon's words about the impact of a mother's lesson rings true. In Proverbs 6:22 it says, "When you walk here and there, they will guide you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. When you wake up, they will talk to you." And there's a third suggestion. First, you embrace the best of their lessons. Second, you follow the best of their examples. And thirdly, you fill in the gaps with grace. I had a friend in college that told me once that his mother never encouraged him to go to college. In fact, she discouraged it. She didn't think college was necessary. She wasn't sure that he was really college material. So after high school, at her urging, he got a regular job. And it wasn't until he was in his late 20s that he decided to pursue higher education, which is probably why he and I became friends. Because I didn't start school. I didn't go to college until I was in my mid to late 20s as well. And he said to me, "For a time, I was resentful that my parents hadn't been more proactive in leading me in this direction. I felt like I'd lost a decade of my life. And to my shame, I treated them like I was better than them. And then I realized that my parents, and my mom especially, had given me so much and taught me so well that I had no justification in complaining about this one thing." He said, "Yeah, they could have been more supportive. They could have encouraged me to try to pursue my dream. But their generation and their view of the world didn't see attending college as a necessity. And they considered dream chasing to be a little too risky." And then he said, "But for me to take offense at that," he said, "that was just me being selfish." Now that may be a pretty mild example, but it illustrates the point. Even the best parents don't score a 10 in every category. I realize that for some, the gap is quite a bit greater. That your parents may not have given you the attention that you needed, or the direction you needed, or the affection you needed, or the encouragement you needed. And you can dwell on those things, or you can choose to shower your parents or remember your parents with grace. A young single mother once said, Mom's so called mistakes are so much more understandable now because I realize what she was up against as a single parent. Don't wait until life teaches you its own bitter lessons before you begin to extend grace to others, especially to your parents, especially your mom. Another verse from the book of Proverbs, in Proverbs 20:20. It says, if someone curses their father or mother, their lamp will be snuffed out in pitch darkness. One possible application for Solomon's words here is if you spend your life making excuses for yourself because you're so invested in placing blame on your parents, your life simply is not going to go anywhere. Your life will be filled with darkness because that's where finger pointing inevitably leads. Our responsibility instead is to view others through the lens of compassion and mercy and grace. Mom, so you weren't so perfect, but you were close enough to perfect for me. Every father and mother that I know, and every son and daughter that I know, has gone through a season in which their relationships with each other faced challenges. Life can be difficult. It can be frustrating and complicated. But I'll tell you what's not complicated. The fourth commandment in Exodus 4:12 says, honor your father and mother. That's not really complicated at all. Doesn't mean that you have to pretend like your parents were perfect. Nor does it free you from the responsibility of making your own way in the world. But it does mean that it's your job to show honor to your parents by being the very best person that you can be. You can honor your father and mother today and every day by embracing the best of their lessons and following the best of their examples and filling in the gaps with grace and compassion every step of the way. Take out your prayer sheets, if you would.